Hello, bakers. Happy Thursday, and welcome to today's Thought Leadership Thursday with KPM Analytics. KPM Analytics supplies instruments that measure critical quality parameters of incoming ingredients, how they perform during the baking process, and ensures that the final product quality meets spec. The comprehensive range of analyzers are used by food producers throughout the world to improve their efficiency, ensure quality, and protect their brand. Today, we are joined by Lena Boss-Byrne. She is the application specialist at Chopin Technologies, a KPM Analytics brand. Welcome, Lena.
Thank you, Lynn, for having me today.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah, Lena, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do there at Chopin Technologies?
So I have an education in engineering and in food science. I am specialized in cereal industry. I work for Chopin Technology, which is a brand of KPM Analytics, for about 10 years. I occupied different positions, and I now manage the food products and applications team, which role is to provide solutions, new applications to our customers.
Great. So in that aspect, what is the newest technology that we're going to be talking about today?
Well, that is a great question, because we have just launched the new model of the SDmatic, so the SDmatic 2, which I have right here in the lab, in the application lab in Paris. And so this
what does it measure?
Sorry?
What does it measure?
It measures the damaged starch content.
Okay, so what is damaged starch and why is it important?
So damaged starch refers to the portion of kernel starch that has been physically broken or fragmented, damaged, really, during the milling process. So this will depend on many parameters, but especially it is a function of the kernel hardness and of the milling process itself. So the tempering, the number of steps, the roll pressure, etc., etc. The damaged starch during milling is completely inevitable, but that does not mean this is a bad thing, as damaged starch has both positive and negative aspects on the bread quality or cookie quality or whatever final products. In fact, we believe that damaged starch is as important as protein content, and so it should be carefully monitored.
That's funny that you said that. A lot of people ignore the fact that it is as important as protein, right? So sometimes when things go wrong, everybody just focuses on the protein and they don't look at the damaged starch. So in that aspect, what is the ideal level for starch damage? And can we manipulate flour to have more or less starch damage, you know?
Yeah. So that's actually a difficult question to answer, as the ideal level will really depend on many parameters. The first one being the final product that you are considering, but also the baker process, the formulation, and other characteristics of the flour. So there is really an optimum damaged starch content for each categories of products. And then when it comes to the second part of your question, is it possible to change a little bit the amount of damage?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's again quite complicated, because the miller can have some control over it by selecting the proper wheat hardness, by adjusting the milling procedure. So this the miller can do, but when it is packed and received at the bakery, well, the baker cannot really do anything, because there is not really any ingredients or additives that is able to aid to mimic or to counter the effects of damaged starch. So
interesting. Yeah. So what kind of products would actually benefit from, say, high starch damage?
So one of the main effects of damaged starch is that it absorbs up to 2 or 3 times more water than native starch. So it it really increases the water absorption capacity, which makes it quite interesting for product with a high water absorption capacity, not so much for cookies. But as a rule of thumb, the higher the amount of damaged starch, the higher the protein content the flour should have in order to avoid stickiness issues. And also, damaged starch is very sensitive to amylase, is more sensitive to amylase than native starch. So that will increase the amount of fermentable sugars, which will impact the volume and also the color of the final product because of the caramelization and the Maillard reaction. So therefore, damaged starch would be very interesting for formulation low in added sugar, such as sourdough, French baguettes, sponge dough, these kind of things.
Interesting. So to a lot of bakers right now watching these videos, starch damage is new to them. And the concept of understanding starch damage is going to be interesting to them. Is there a way to control starch damage?
Yeah, actually, there are three main ways that are used today to control damaged starch, or at least to measure it. And the first one would be enzymatic methods, which are very precise, but very long, very costly, and requiring expert operators. And then on the contrary, you have NIR methods, which are very simple, but really lack precision. As a matter of fact, I don't really believe that those kind of methods are appropriate when it comes to damaged starch measurements. And then you have well, amperometric methods, such as the SDmatic, which is certainly the easiest, the fastest, and the most precise way of measuring damaged starch today.
So basically, we can't really manipulate the amount of damaged starch. We can't control it, but we can study it and can understand it through these methods. Can you exactly talk about what does the SDmatic do?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, this is an amperometric method. So this was first described by Metcalfe and Giles, and the test is based on the fact that iodine absorption is directly correlated with the damaged starch content. So basically, the SDmatic will produce iodine, which therefore produces an electrical current. So this is
so basically the iodine links up with the damaged starch, and that's how you record.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
This is exactly that. When we introduce the flour, the iodine binds with the damaged starch and the electrical current drops. And this is what we measure. This is this drop in the electrical current. The higher the drop and the higher the amount of damaged starch.
Oh, neat. So how long does it take to run a test?
So basically, you just have to weigh the chemicals, the flour, and launch the test, and then this is fully automatized. So the measurement lasts about 6 to 7 minutes, which is a total of 10 minutes.
Okay. Usually, every baker here in North America would just look at the spec sheet, right, to understand the flour quality. Does the SDmatic tell them things that they don't know about the flour that are already on the spec sheet?
So that's very interesting. This is exactly as you mentioned. Most COAs today, they are based on parameters about gluten quality, protein content, gluten index, pyrograph values, alveograph values. So all of that is about protein. And usually you can also find folding number, but without the damaged starch, the information is incomplete. How do you understand that this flour, which was perfect according to the specification, produces a sticky dough and a bread with a reddish color, for instance? Those are parameters directly related to too much damaged starch. So in order to understand that and to anticipate that, in order for it to not happen again, then damaged starch should be part of any certificate of acceptance.
That's great. And I see that you just launched a new version of the SDmatic. What are the similarities with or differences with the previous version?
So I am in the lab, so I have both versions with me here. You have the SDmatic one just over here and the SDmatic 2 just here. So the test procedure is exactly the same, meaning that the SDmatic 2 complies with all its existing standards. But of course, there are a lot of differences. As you can see, the design has been modernized. There is a user-friendly...
A bigger touch screen?
Yes, that has been added with a lot of also of new functionalities, such as the possibility to visualize where your flower is in comparison with global classes of products. We also worked a lot on the robustness of the products, using a sturdier motor, a sturdier engine, for instance, and basic maintenance operation, such as the decontamination of the probe, which should be performed regularly, can now be performed by the end user, thus decreasing the price of ownership. And finally, one final advantage I would say is that the SDmatic 2 is more versatile than the previous version. It allows you to modify the protocol to analyze other products. So, for instance, we are currently developing a protocol to analyze remaining starch in protein concentrates.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So I do work with a few bakers who implement to help them implement quality systems in their companies and create labs for them. Can you share with us who is KPM Analytics and how can you help bakers implement a QA program into their bakery?
So we have a very wide offer. Well, really, KPM Analytics offers a very wide variety of analytical solutions at different levels of the bakery. We have vision system implementations, which can allow manufacturers to objectively measure their final products and also measure their products at various moments of their line. Then we have rheological analyzers, such as the Mixolab or the Alveograph, for instance, which analyze dough. And so by doing that, these technologies provide solutions to help bakers simulate the baking process and thus have a better understanding of the dough properties. And then we have functional tests, such as the SDmatic test, which provides an insight of why the flour behaves the way it does, and why it is sticky, for instance. And finally, we have NIR technologies that can be used either in the QA lab or at line to analyze a wide spectrum of moisture and compositional characteristics of the flours.
Well, you have it, bakers. If you're interested in understanding the quality of your incoming ingredients, putting in a QA program in your bakery, please reach out to Chopin Technologies, a division of KPM Analytics. And if you need to deep dive into understanding what damaged starch is, contact Lena. We're going to put everybody's emails and web address down below. And thank you so much, Lena, for coming on today and sharing your knowledge on something so difficult as starch damage.
Oh, thank you very much, Lynn, for your invitation. And in the end, I hope that damaged starch will not be so complicated.
Yeah, it needs to be measured. People just need to learn about it.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.